waders are an absolute essential on the water. Everybody uses them in terms of wade fly fishing, unless you're a strictly summer fly fisher. And I think good waders are something that separates good anglers from great anglers, right? The use of good waders. So today, I want to talk a little about the waders that I use, why I've liked them, and maybe some of the things I'm looking for in my next pair. So yeah, let's dig into it. There's a fish. Welcome back to another episode of Flying Trout. We're kind of doing this as a mini series here. We're going to go through everything I keep in my fish box. So this is just a tote that I got from Walmart that's got all my gear in it, from different types of lines to waders, boots, wading belt, all that good stuff. So today I want to talk about the waders that I use. And so we've got those right here. These are my Simms G3 fly fishing waders, and I've been using these now for just over 3 or 4 years, something like that. I can't exactly remember. I've put a ton of days in on the water in these guys, full days, long days, short days, all sorts of things. You can see they've definitely seen better days. I've got some frayed edges and seams and things like that, but these waders have held up extremely well, and I've really loved them. And so I want to talk about some of the things that I have loved about these waders, and maybe some of the things I'm talking about in the next ones to see kind of where I want to go. So I think best place to start with a pair of waders is we'll just start down here at the bottom. So on these waders, you get this nice neoprene booty right here. And I got to say, these things have held up extremely well. I've done a lot of hikes through. I normally just put on my waders at the truck and don't really, carry them in or anything like that. It's just too much of a pain for me personally. And the breathability of these waders have allowed me to do that. One of the things that I've been really surprised about was the neoprene booties. Before I had these, it's kind of funny actually, these are my first nice pair of waders. Before these, I had a pair of Rustic Ridge waders. I think I bought them at Sportsman's Warehouse or something like that. I got them for my birthday when I was 13 and liked those waders, but something that was always cold was my feet because the neoprene was extremely thin. I'm not exactly sure, how thick it is, but these are nice and squishy and thick, and so you get a ton of warmth in here. I've used these for winter days on the water with two, socks underneath, nice big thick wool socks, and then just these neoprene booties, and that's actually kept my feet very warm the whole day fishing. So I've been really impressed with the way that these booties have held up. The other thing that I really liked is on, a lot of waders, they have that little hook that kind of comes right here, and you fold that over and it clasps onto your boot. And that was something I was used to, and so when these didn't have it, I was kind of, oh gosh, what's going to happen, all that sort of stuff. And I got to say, I've had a lot of people that I fish with on the river who have those, and just in the storage and all that sort of stuff, that little hook actually tears a hole in this neoprene at some point during transport or during hiking or whatever it is. And that has ended a lot of people's days on the water prematurely and gotten their feet pretty cold. So this has been a huge thing for me, actually just being able to fold this over, and it's still nice and tight around the boot, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. But there's no hook on there that's gonna, get hooked or penetrate or anything on your neoprene booties. And this helps keep stuck onto that boot really, really well. Absolutely like that. That's definitely a feature that I'm going to continue to look for in my next waders. I don't really want that hook on there if I can help it. And so from the bottom here, these have been very, very good for the last 3 or 4 years. So awesome job there to Simms. Moving up the leg, nothing real crazy here. You just kind of got their paneled material right here. It's got nice stitching and everything in here, and I mean I've been using these for, like I said, about 3 or 4 years, and there's been absolutely no leaks the whole time. I've never had to repair these in any way or anything like that, and so I've been super impressed with the way these seams have held up. You know, coming from a cheaper pair of, you know, Rustic Ridge waders, I was a little nervous about that for sure, but these have held up fantastic. I was kind of used to, you know, some drips and drops here and there, and I've had nothing like that at all out of the Sims. One thing that's kind of a small detail on here that I have really liked is they have kind of a cross-section stitch right here that connects this layer of Gore-Tex to the upper layer right here. This layer around the legs is a little bit thicker to kind of guard from that gravel and those rocks and all the things you'll be climbing and clambering over on the river. And then the upper section is a little bit thinner to just allow you to breathe a little bit more, so you don't get so overheated. And they did this in a really smart way where they cross-stitched this across your leg instead of just, you know, straight across. You also get this seam that comes down. I feel like that's given me a little bit more movement in terms of how I can move on the water, where I can run, where I can, you know, climb over stuff, things like that. I tend to get a little too crazy maybe on the river. If you've seen one of my most recent Days on the Water videos, I kind of ended up climbing a pretty steep cliff face there, and I was wearing these waders the whole time, and I was able to flex and move the whole time, and didn't have any problems. I really think that comes down to how Sims laid out the stitching on this set of waders right here. It's really made to move with you, not against you, and so I've never felt like I've been held back from the movement on my waders like I have in some other waders, especially those Rustic Ridges. You know, there were definitely times where I felt like I was gonna rip or tear the waders and cheaper waders and things like that, or even some of the duck hunting waders that I've used. You know, my body feels a little bit tight or cramped. This fabric moves with you extremely well, so if that's something you're looking for, that'd be a huge thing to look out for here. Kind of going back up, you know, you've got this nice chest section here and body section. Again, plenty of movement to kind of talk about here on the waders. Wonderful stitching, but kind of getting into the business end here, you know, where you're going to kind of be spending a lot of your time. Really basic here, I would say. You know, you've got this little felt patch for, you know, you can clip a fly on there or something. I don't really use this at all. Obviously, I run a chest pack, and so typically my chest pack is kind of sitting over this. The kind of rubberized stuff around the edge here is kind of like cracked and whatnot. I don't really know if that's like a design flaw or anything like that. I think I've just used these waders for a really long time, had straps and everything, you know, rubbing up against this. But if that's an option for you and you like to keep some sort of fly, you know, right on your waders, you do have that option here with the felt. I think nowadays I'd probably just take a cling magnet and stick that over top of it, or, you know, on this thin section right here, but totally up to you. Up front here, you've got kind of this pocket that has two zippers on the side right here. So you can zip that and zip that closed if you're going to use it for storage at all. Or you can keep it open, and then this is a through pocket, so my hand comes all the way through. I've used this a lot, you know, on colder days on the water. It's not exactly thick or anything to keep your hands warm, but I have thrown a couple of hand warmers in here, tucked my hands in on days when it's, you know, really cold. I can definitely do that, and so that's been a nice thing on the water that I've really liked. But it's not exactly, you know, it's not going to keep you warm or anything like that. This is not a waterproof pocket. And I think that would be kind of cool if there's a little bit thickness here. I know, you know, they're trying to hit a broad spectrum that can help you in the winter and in the summer. But I think for me, I've used this set of waders duck hunting. I've used it winter fishing, fall fishing, spring fishing. And I think during those times, I'd really like a thicker pocket up here. I've even gone to using my duck hunting hand warmer. But if that could be built into the system, I think that's something that I'd really like. But I know that might be a little bit more specific to me as well. So on top of that kind of kangaroo pocket right there, you also have this nice pocket here to just dump stuff in. Typically for me, this is going to be, I'll do a lot of like chapstick or something like that, or if I'm taking like just a simple granola bar for a quick day on the water, I'll toss that right in there. I tend not to put anything too thick in here, but you know, if you wanted to put you know, chapstick, anything like that, I wouldn't put like cell phone or anything in there really, because this pocket's not waterproof. There is a better pocket for you there, but you could definitely put that there. So nice little pocket right there. It's got quite a bit of storage room in there as well. So that's really nice. Going inside of the wader here, you have this little flip out pocket. And this right here is typically where my phone, wallet, keys go. You know, they just tuck right in here. Zip that sucker closed, and then they actually fold inside of the wader right there. I really like that from a security standpoint, and it's just a really nice pocket. One thing that is kind of cool that I definitely have not used enough is you got a little snap right here and then a zipper. And this pocket can actually come off. I believe they make a couple of different versions of these pockets. So if you wanted to put a slightly larger one or a different configuration, or I'm sure somebody somewhere has like an Etsy account where they make some really cool things, that is an option for you. It is really, really nice to have. And it is something that I use pretty much every day on the water just to store my, phone, wallet, keys in. That goes really well. I know a lot of guys like to stick their, keys in their gas cap as they're fishing, and I just have never felt good about that. Feel like somebody's gonna, take my lunch money or something when I keep my stuff in the truck. So that just comes right here, snaps back closed, and there you go. So inside the waders as well, you do have this kind of armpit pocket right here, and this sucker is actually fairly deep. I mean, it's my whole hand span, which, my hands are fairly large. And so that's at least my whole hand span, maybe a little bit bigger. And it does have a zipper right here as well that is inside of the wader. So, if you wanted to throw keys or valuables or anything like that in that pocket, you absolutely could. I don't really use this pocket, to be honest, as much as I feel like I should. On me, it kind of sits in an awkward spot, kind of right underneath my armpit, so kind of hard to get in and out of. And I didn't have a keyless entry car until pretty recently. And so that kind of, created a factor for me where I didn't want to dig in my armpit, kind of looking like a monkey getting my keys out of there. So I didn't really use it, but definitely a cool pocket if you did want to use it. There is not one on this side, which is something I always kind of thought would be cool, is if you put a pocket right here and then, for winter fishing or something like that, you could stick hand warmers in there and kind of keep your armpits nice and warm. Again, super specific and kind of a weird thing I thought of, but I do think it'd be kind of nice to have the symmetrical pockets like that if you did put them in there. So, I don't know, maybe a shout out to Sims to do that in their next wader. I don't know. Moving up top to kind of the strap system up here. This is something that I didn't notice until recently that I've really liked. So first off, you get kind of this nice X panel on the back there, and that really helps keep the waders nice and stable. There's some other waders that it's just kind of a strap that goes over the shoulder and over the shoulder, and there's no cross section, and you can kind of end up with some wiggle and move on your waders, and I've definitely had that in some old waders and things like that. But on this X kept it super, super solid. Like I said, I tend to move around a lot, do a lot of things in my waders, and these have absolutely held up wonderfully. And I think part of that is because of this X right here. Now, one thing that I didn't really notice until recently that I really like is on the suspension system, you have two different clips, right? So this side cannot go into this side, and this side cannot go into this side. Obviously, when you're putting on waders and everything, sometimes these can get a little mixed up, and that's just really helped me to not get them, crossed up or put on the wrong ones where my straps feel weird or anything. I think it's, a small detail that really, really goes a long way in my mind. So that's something huge for me. The clasps are really nice, really solid. I love these clips. Just to click on those sounds really good too. I've never had any of these, unbuckle or anything like that, so I got to give it to them. On that clip system, extremely, extremely well done on the clips right there. Now, one thing I don't like about this kind of up top thing right here is, you can see it even right now, when I pack these away, this strap that kind of is on there over top of this one, it's meant to kind of, lay that out a little bit, keep that weight spread out just slightly more, be a little bit more comfortable than just this strap. And every time I pull these out of the box, they're like this, and I have to stretch them out and get them down. Now, this might not be as big of a problem for you if you don't have, kind of like big shoulders and everything like I do. But especially like when I'm wearing a jacket or something, I have to loosen these straps down a little bit to make them tall enough for me, because I am a taller guy. I'm 6'6", 250 or 260 pounds depending on the day, and so that is a factor, right? I'm a bigger individual for sure, but I think this is just kind of an oversight. These slide down all the time. I'll get done with days on the water, and these are just kind of bunched up and get a little uncomfortable on my back. I think there is maybe a little bit better way to do it. If there's a way this could be secured or whatever that looks like. I know like most people can probably just go over the top of this clip and it'd be totally fine. But for me, I do think there could be a better way to do that. I don't exactly know what it is, but I don't design waders for a living. So something I would maybe like to change on that is just this strap system. I've gotten to the point where I've wanted to kind of figure out a way to take this thing off, and haven't really found a way to do that. So they are kind of sewn in down here, but not up here. So maybe a little bit oversight, something that kind of frustrates me, but again, not that big of a deal. Definitely something you can live with on the waders for sure. Another thing I've really liked about these waders is it's got this nice reinforced strap right here, so I can pretty easily pick this up, move it around. I use this for just hanging it up. I'll hang these up on a tree branch or something if I'm camping, and it lets the waders dry out fully without having a whole strap system or hanger kind of set up with the strap system there. So I have really liked that. Kind of small detail. I think most waders nowadays include this, but definitely something to look at. While we're up here, if you are curious, my size, again, 6'6", 250, 260 pounds. I wear an extra large long, and this size has fit me perfectly. So if you're that size, or if that helps you at all size your waders, great, absolutely. I'm an extra large long. So last thing I want to talk about on these waders is just the belt hook in right here at the back, right? So you've got two different heights right here. So if you're a little bit shorter or you're wearing them lower on you, you can slide your wading belt through here. If you're a little bit taller, you can slide it through here. Again, this is super specific to me. I wish there was one more rung down. The way this is set up, I actually don't put my wading belt inside of this, and I wish I could, but for me, I'm just a little too tall, and so my wading belt kind of wants to sit right where the seam is. It kind of sits right here when I put it on, and I just really wish that there was one more down so that I could adjust that a little bit more. Again, I think it is a little bit of oversight. Lots of different people, lots of different heights. I really just wish I could have that one more. Again, a little bit out there, if you're a taller guy, something like that, it's not that big of a deal. I just put my wading belt over top. Really, the only time it's ever been a problem is when I'm going to the restroom by the river, right? I go try and take my belt off, and my belt falls down. I wish it could just hang right in here without a problem. Wouldn't have to worry about it, but it falls on the ground. Got to pick it up. Not a huge deal, but something I do kind of wish these waders had. So all in all, if you're looking for a pair of waders, man, these Simms G3s, you could do worse than for sure. They are a little bit of a higher price point. I can't remember exactly how much I paid for them, but I think they're sitting right around in like the $600 range, somewhere in there. Fantastic wader. It's held up wonderfully for me. I've never had to get them repaired or put any, repairing glue or anything like that anywhere on any of the seams. They've done fantastic for me. I'll probably be using these for at least the rest of this season, and then I might look into upgrading. But if you're looking at a pair of waders, if you're thinking about the Simms G3s, these are going to do really, really well for you. I really recommend them. I will say, I bought these 3 or 4 years ago. I've heard of some people buying Simms waders recently that haven't done as well. Their build quality kind of dropped off a little bit from what I've heard. I have no way of telling you about that. I haven't used a newer pair of G3s or anything like that. These are from 3 or 4 years ago. So take that for what you will. There's a lot of waders on the market nowadays. There's definitely some waders that are on my bucket list for sure that I would love to have, but these have done well. So all in all, fantastic wader. I would recommend them. I will say they won't be my next pair. When I go to get a new pair of waders, I'm not going to pick up the Simms G3s again. And a lot of that's just wader technology. Over the last couple of years, it's changed a lot. When I bought these, zip waders weren't super common. and the zippers on the ones that were out there were pretty unreliable. There was lots of dripping and things like that through the zipper. I've tried out a couple of pairs of zip waders, and the zip works fantastic. And so I would really love to upgrade to a zip wader. Lots of reasons for that. Easier to put on, easier to take off, all of that good stuff. So I'm definitely looking for a zip wader. They do make a G4Z that's a zip wader from Sims that's really well. I think for me, I'm going to probably look out for Squala. If you guys haven't heard about Squala, the channel's not endorsed by them in any way. I wish I could say it was, but they make some of the best stuff on the market right now. Fantastic fly fishing gear, and from what I've heard, their waders are the best on the market, and they make a zip wader that is really, really cool. And then obviously Sitka came out with a wader system this year as well in 2026. And it's really cool. I did get a chance to wear that on the water, test out some of their products and everything. And that was a really, really good wader system. My one complaint about that was that they had the hooks down in the bottom booty. But other than that, it was probably the best pair of waders that I've ever worn. So check those out as well. But if you're looking for something a little bit less expensive, because all those are going to step you up, Sims G3 is going to be super, super good for you. One thing I will say, I wear waders all through the summer as well. Lots of people wet wade, that sort of stuff. One thing I depend on out of these waders that I have really liked is the breathability. Like I said, I have worn waders in the winter, in the summer, in the spring, in the fall. I wear them all year. I don't wet wade. Part of that's because, a lot of the rivers that I fish are very cold, and I also put in very long sessions, and so I really don't want my legs to get numb, or worst case scenario, really to enter, hypothermia, anything like that. So I wear these even in the dead of summer, and the breathability on these is fantastic. I have never had a day that I felt like I was too hot because of the waders. Often if I'm too hot, it's because, I got out there early in the morning, I was wearing a jacket, and I just stripped down and just have my t-shirt on, and I've been great. So the breathability of these are awesome, but still in the middle of winter, the warmth has been great too. They do a great job of blocking out the wind, but letting your heat go out of it. So fantastic way there. So if you're looking for an all year wader, I can highly recommend the Sims G3s. So I bought these at Scheels. If you guys haven't been to a Scheels, I highly recommend checking it out. They make some great, or carry some great product, have some great product in stock, and they have people that are super, super knowledgeable to help you guys out in that realm as well. So go stop into a Scheels, pick up a pair of Sims G3s, or go check out any other waders you want. But those are the waders I've been using for the past couple years. So with that, that's all I got for you guys. So thanks for kind of sticking around and watching me yap about some fishing stuff. Stay tuned for some of the other videos. We're going to dive deeper into some of the other stuff I carry every day on the water in this box. But thank you for supporting Flying Trout. Super fun thing that I get to do just to talk about. If you want to support the channel at all, honestly, the best thing you can do is share it with people. Share it with a friend, listen to it, drop a like, drop a comment. All of that goes way, way further than you guys could possibly imagine. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Have fun out there on the water, and we'll see you out there.